Welcome back. It is Thursday, May 23rd in the NBA. Only one game on tonight as we see the Pacers trying to even things up in Boston, taking on the Celtics. It's game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I got 2 picks in this video that I really love for this game tonight. Without further ado, though, first we must do a recap of how we did yesterday. Not a terrible day, 1-1, lost a little bit of juice. We had Luka Doncic over in points. He went off in the fourth quarter, so we appreciate him for doing his job. Not my best read with Nickeil Alexander-Walker over 6.5 points. At the end of the day, he shot 6 times. He just didn't play a lot of minutes, but 6 field goal attempts. The only problem was he shot 0 for 4 from 3. So the volume was there, but honestly, not a great read on my end. It is game 1. You kind of have to figure out the rotations, and game 1 can kind of be a little bit tricky, but a 1-1 day, moving us to a 7-1 run in our last 8 plays. Not much we can do there. We got 2 picks, though, coming inbound. Before we dive into those, do me a favor, go down below, hit that subscribe button, drop a like. If you ever need any sportsbook sign-up bonuses or deposit matches, things of that nature, go down below, support the channel, use those links. It helps you guys out, too, getting some free money in your pockets. Helps us, too, with those things. But without further ado, I'm going to dive into the picks today, and we're going to start with our player prop of the day, get into a game pick, and then we'll talk about Trina's play of the day, which did lose yesterday, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Here's my favorite player prop, and it's a guy that we already talked about before, Aaron Nesmith. I really like his over 11.5 points, minus 115 on FanDuel. I mean, I think every book was at 11.5. If they go to 12.5, I like it there as well. If you recall, Aaron Nesmith was a guy we already played. We did his play in game 1, identical, except the line has moved a little bit. It was 9.5 or 10.5 points then. I still like it at 11.5. Now, like I said, Nesmith, we took his over in game 1. Honestly, he didn't play great. In game 1, he had 14 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3. And he had 5 turnovers, and he fouled out 6 fouls. He played 36 minutes in regulation. I think he got fouled out around the 2:27 mark in overtime as he fouled Tatum on a fast break layup. Obviously, in that game, you see 6 for 12. You're like, that's not terrible, but 5 turnovers. I mean, the bro in the first quarter, every time he touched it, it was a turnover. But like I said, in game 1, they are going to need him out there for defensive purposes. He's their best perimeter defender, and this is not the same matchup against like the Knicks, where the Knicks literally have one guy, Jalen Brunson, and you could throw a couple different bodies at him. This is a Pacers team or Celtics team that has a ton of different guys out there that are really good at attacking the hoop. You obviously got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Drew Holiday was really good in game 1. Derek White's really good. So they need Aaron Nesmith out there for defensive purposes. And even in a game, he struggled with some foul trouble, still went over pretty easily. And I really think he's going to continue to play well in this series. This is a guy that, number 1, they need him for size. Number 2, great in transition. Number 3, shot 40% from 3 in the regular season. So 1 for 5 from 3. He could easily go out there and shoot 3 for 5 from 3. That wouldn't shock anyone because that's what he's capable of from three-point land. But like I said, Nesmith has played well against the Celtics. He averaged a little under 15 points per game in about 30 minutes per game against the Celtics in 5 regular season games. With the 2 misses where he didn't get over, one, he played less than 20 minutes. That's probably not happening tonight. The other, he went 0 for 7 from 3, which probably won't happen either. Obviously, Nesmith was, I believe, drafted by the Celtics, and so he played a year or 2 there. So he's got a little bit of added animosity to try to stick it to the Celtics for obviously letting him go. I really think this is a good spot. In my opinion, Aaron Nesmith feels very similar to, I believe last year, was Caleb Martin and against the Celtics. Caleb Martin was really good in those matchups. Celtics kind of kept leaving him open, and he kept making him pay. And the books just weren't quick enough to adjust to his lines. Eventually, by game 7, they had adjusted, but Caleb Martin was just in a groove at that point. He kept going over and over and over. I think the Celtics are willing to lose with Aaron Nesmith either attacking them off the dribble if they had 5 turnovers or hitting 3-pointers against them until he starts knocking them down consistently. So I think Aaron Nesmith is this year's Caleb Martin, if you will, against the Celtics. If he cashes tonight, don't be surprised if he's back on the card in game 3. I really like his over 11.5 points, minus 115. I don't mind that 12.5 either. Now, my second pick is going to be a game pick. If you have been following the channel this season for a while, number 1, I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks for tuning in every single day, or at least a lot of different days. And those people would know I don't do a lot of game picks. If you're new here, I don't do a lot of game picks. I already said that. Now, I don't do them because sometimes I feel like they're really, really sharp. But when I see one I like, I take it, and they've had a pretty good track record. This postseason, we were 2-0. We took the Mavericks to win and cover, I believe, against the Clippers in the first round. Then we took OKC in the second round against the Mavs. Today, I'm backing the Boston Celtics, minus 4.5 in the first half. Make that a clear notation on the screen. First half spread. I don't mind full game, 8.5, 9.5, whatever it is. I don't mind first half at 5.5. I'm laying a little bit of juice because we know how sharp these sometimes can be. But personally, I think the Pacers might be down by 15 at half. And I'm not attacking the Pacers fans. If you watched game 1, this video, you know I actually like the Pacers spread in this series. However, game 1 was this game I believe they should have won. And I don't think game 2 is going to be all that competitive. Now, hopefully that doesn't impact Neesmith, but I'll talk about why in a second. Now, the reason I'm going to first half is because the Pacers have been a really good second half team, especially in that third quarter. So I think the Celtics, they are going to win and cover. It's going to have to be a lot of damage in that first half. The Celtics have been a really good first half team. 62-30-1 against the spread in the first half, best in the NBA. At home, 29-18-1 against the spread in the first half, second best behind the Milwaukee Bucks. This has been a Celtics team that normally when they come out in the first half, they dominate and they play really well. Now in game 1, they did not dominate the first half. I believe it was tied 64-64. And like I said, I'd argue, and I think a lot of people out there think the Pacers should have won. Now I know there's going to be a lot of people, the whole world is going to be on the Pacers spread, Pacers money line. They're going to be on the Pacers team total over. They're going to be on the over in the game because they saw what happened in game 1. They're going to expect the same thing to happen in game 2. I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments made, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And in my opinion, if there's going to be a lot of defensive adjustments, it's going to be a lower scoring game. And that plays well into the hands of the Celtics, obviously the much better defensive team than the Pacers. Now, obviously, they don't have Kristaps Porzingis. He's reported to maybe be back for game 4 or 5, but I think that this is a slower-paced game. I think it's a lower-scoring game, and I think that bodes well for the Celtics. I still think Neesmith can get over in points because I think he plays a lot and gets some open looks, but this is a Celtics team that I know people are going to say, but Austin, they've lost both game 2s so far this series, this postseason. Yeah, they have. They've lost those 2 games by 10 and 24, but also you have to look at how they played in game 1. The previous 2 series, they had won game 1s by 20 and 25 points. They only won the first game 1, obviously, by 5 points. They should have lost that game. I think that was a big wake-up call for them. I think game 1, the previous series, was all right, well, this team, we think we're easily better than them. Let's just smooth in here, smack them around. Game 1, we smacked them. Game 2, they're not coming in with defensive energy, and they really are lackluster. That was not the case in game 1. They fought tooth and nail all the way into overtime, had to win that game. They obviously probably shouldn't have won that game, but they did. And I think that was the game the Pacers needed to steal on the road. I don't think this is an all-too competitive game. I think the Celtics come out here and play pretty well. I could be wrong. I don't do a lot of game picks, so I certainly could be wrong, but I think the Celtics play pretty well tonight. I know people are going to say, well, the Pacers turned it over 21 times. That's not happening again. But also, you have to look at the Pacers shot 54% from the field. They had, 38 assists. Probably not happening again either. They shot, and you have the Boston shooting below 50%. They only made 15 of their 45 threes. So shot below 34% from 3. We know Boston, when they start getting those threes going down, it is a GG. I think the Pacers are in for a tough spot tonight. I do like the Pacers, and if they lose tonight, I'll probably back them in the series because I think they win at least one in Indiana, maybe even both there. I just think they're a little bit punching above their weight class tonight. Sorry, Pacers fans. I really like their team. Like I said, I think they could win games 3 and 4 potentially on the road, but I really think Boston has a great first half tonight, comes out, establishes their defensive energy, and have a bunch of defensive adjustments before you see some second half adjustments made by the Pacers. Maybe they make it close in the second half. I don't care. I don't want to sweat the spread for the full game. Sweat in the first 2 quarters, -4.5 in the first half. Give it to me, Celtics, -125. I take it at 5.5, but the difference was like -110 to -125. I'll buy myself a point there. So you can do whatever you want. I honestly think they could win the first half by 10 to 15, maybe even 20 points tonight. Celtics -4.5. We try to go to 3-0 on our game picks in the postseason. But that's my favorite 2 picks of the day. We will finish the video off with Trina's play of the day. Yesterday, she had Anthony Edwards over in PRAs, and bro, he could not buy a bucket. 6 for 16. He had 11 rebounds and 9 assists or something like that. Couldn't get the PRAs at 39.5 by 2. Barely missed. So she moves to 1-1. However, today, she's going with Drew Holiday over 24.5 PRAs. I think he's got a good chance. Yesterday, she was between Kyrie Irving and Anthony Edwards, and I might have swayed her off Kyrie because he was a little too juiced for PRAs. That might have been on me. Also, she had to use DraftKings. That's not what she's used to. She's also my wife, so she doesn't watch any basketball. Her analysis today, though, is I walked in, asked where her favorite pick is, gave her the phone, and she said, "You really want my pick after I failed yesterday? I suck at sports betting." And I think that's something we can all relate to. But that's her favorite pick of the day. You do whatever you want with it and not tracking it towards my record. Just going to track how she does the rest of the conference finals and then into the NBA finals. So Drew Holiday over in PRAs. Do whatever you want with that. My favorite 2 picks of the day that I will track for 1 unit. We got, obviously, Aaron Neesmith, our boy, over 11.5 points. Celtics -4.5 in the first half. See how they go. Let's try to turn that 7-1 run into a 9-1 run. And I'll see you guys back again tomorrow morning for game 2 of the Mavericks vs. Timberwolves series. I'll see you guys then. Peace.